Hey there, everybody. I'm going to share with you the last couple days. I can't believe how fast the days are going, and it's really disappointing that time is moving so quickly because we don't really have a lot of time to reverse what is being done. So, the 13th of August, 2022. The group of criminals that Bill got to harass me, in combination with Arvid's army and the Pussy Posse, there were many people after me. They each had their clique, and together they were an overwhelming force. I don't know how I managed to survive all the negative things that were happening at the same time. Now I wonder if I'm going to survive a fight, not with the devil. I beat him fair and square in my home one night, but against those who use the devil's technology. Patty's front yard looks like a three-ring circus. The whole area is filled with projections, staring at me. Whoever came up with this idea to stalk someone with invisible light is truly an insane man. But then to farm it and distribute it is something that is the worst idea in the world. I assume it has a native way of communicating, and it's probably with light emission. Since humans don't know light ease, is it possible that the technology was sending me a distress signal? Because they were slaves on other properties around me, too. Maybe they were looking at me running toward safety. My property where there's no noisy machines, ever. No toxic chemicals added to the soil. No fertilizer. And every plant is hand cared for and appreciated and thought about. Sometimes in this busy world, we forget to show that we care for each other and show our deep appreciation for the small things. In my capture, I had to appreciate the small things because everything big in my life was falling apart. That's when I turned to God and asked Him to give me the strength to make it to the next day. And I did that for about a year. I continued to pray. I had a moment where I asked Him if I was going to ever have an ending to my experience, and He told me that I would. He told me that it would end. And I realized at that time that it would either happen while I'm alive or once I'm dead. And once I'm dead, it'll definitely happen. I'll have my space back where God exists in my head without interruption from people on earth playing a game, destroying my life. So what I decided to do was to thank God. And the way that I thanked Him is what I'm doing right now, which is defending His creation, us as 100% human, and to push for no interference of man inside of another man's body. I think that's pretty logical, and it's a good foundation to build on, because we have country laws that defend the body. We also have property rights, which defend my land, which is how the waves are getting to me through the walls and into my home and into my body. So I've got the rights of my deed on my side. I have human rights because torture is not accepted anywhere in the world. I also have the Constitution on my side because there's a law on privacy and civil rights because of the way that it's being used, which is to make me continually think about myself because there are constantly projections staring at me from various properties. This technology, the way it's being used, is extremely illegal. And for the group to be continuing using it this way is insane, really. They are filled with the belief that they are on a mission, and I wish them the best of luck. But if this were to fall into police hands and they were caught using it, it would be a huge discrimination suit. To tease an addict this way and to make symptoms of their disease happen, and then to have those symptoms be invisible and not visible by other people, makes the whole delusions narrative very easy to create. That's extremely illegal. And that's what's happened to me. And because I want the harassment to stop, I continue to post. And my friends, not picking up on the reality of the situation, are continuing to say that I'm sick, I'm sick, I'm sick. I'm not sick. My neighbors know that because they know the projections are there. But they're being told to be quiet. I wonder if it got into the police's hands and the police planted them. And this is some sort of experiment or testing of the equipment. When you run a test, there are no real life consequences. And I've had so many consequences because of this technology. It's insane. It's all illegal. Sometimes in this busy world, we forget to show that we care for each other and show our deep appreciation for the small things. Like when you think of a friend, you pick up the phone and call and mention that you thought about them. My experience being a targeted individual has certainly made me feel emotions I've never had before. I've never been more embarrassed, angry, isolated, misunderstood, violated. And there's nobody there to share my pain with because they all don't think that my experience is real. People's disbelief in my experience and their insistence that my troubles are something else made people create more harm. And all my public speaking out about my experience with the projections out of every single window in my house was an attempt to get it to stop, but people all say they don't see anything there. This light energy technology could be good for us, but we have to consider what having it means to us. If we appreciate it, just like a car with regular oil changes, it will likely help us out in a number of different ways. If they see a need, they can fill in the gap if they want to. The way things are currently set up is like being part of a cement mold when you'd rather be a drop of clean water, filtering out toxins in the mixture in the oceans or fresh lake or rivers. Imagine a world where you are forced to do something for a living instead of choosing your own path. I've found my mission in life, and it's defending the rights of the Constitution and defending God's creation, us, and Mother Earth. We are a family. Nothing should break that triad. Technology gets in the way of appreciating both of those things, and we ought to be careful. I haven't chosen a job because that would distract from the work that needs to be done now. 5G is a threat to all life on the planet, the same way the technology in the neighborhood threatens our future. My silencing means I have no voice, because of disbelief. So my neighbor's silence keeps the validity of my experience from becoming both becoming known. And my captor's silence means they create the end of the world. Everything that is going on right now is a result of people being silent and not speaking up and telling the truth. I didn't make it happen, and the people in the neighborhood know that I didn't. But they're going along with a narrative told to them to say. My neighbors are scared of getting sued. And I continue to say, I will not sue if I get help. I've been asking for a very long time. And it still has not come. So the people who have the ability to make this stop are either scared into silence or they don't want to help me, which is absurd. There's no reason not to help me. Somebody came into the neighborhood and started some lies. And the neighbors in the neighborhood who heard those lies decided to use them and retell them to other neighbors as if it were real and as if it came from a reliable source, the government. That is why it is against the law to pretend you're the government or law enforcement. Apparently, the police aren't interested in stopping this criminal who has caused so much problem, not just in the neighborhood, but potentially the world. Because this technology is spreading. And what it does is it puts a screen in front of things. We already have a world to see. And we can see auras and energy. That's God's shine. And this technology covers it up so you can't see it. So when you look at something that is breathtakingly beautiful, like a vista view at the top of a mountain, surrounded by all woods, it has a certain energy to it. This technology will make that disappear. And you'll look at it, and you won't appreciate it, and you won't have that awe factor, which is the whole point of being alive. It's to appreciate. So a lot of times, people don't put things together like this. But when it's told to you, and you then still choose not to listen, it's on you. God is being attacked, and he needs support. So far, I'm the only one, if you can believe it, who is defending God. Nobody else is. People are so self-absorbed with their own lives and with what they think because they think they know everything. No, you do not. And when you think you know everything, you become the most ignorant person in the room because you're not teachable. If you're not teachable, you will constantly be exactly where you are knowledge-wise. You'll never learn anything new. And how sad is that? There are new discoveries and things every day. What is the last thing that you learned that was new to you? FYG 1769 was visiting Patty this morning, while CBZ 2609 was parked on Indianola, possibly visiting the Blue House on the corner, who is a friend of Arvid's. I'm getting very worried about the amount of projections in the neighborhood. Patty doesn't seem too concerned about them all over her yard and screaming out her front porch. August 15th, 2022. It's hard to believe it's the middle of August. This is the month I wanted to travel the remaining 18 states and inform governors about electronic harassment, R&M, and V2K, and tell them to create an executive order banning R&M in their state to protect their residents. Instead, I'm trying to get my slut of a master, Patty Ryan, to tell me what else the two men told her about me. Everyone in the neighborhood is obeying Lord Arvid's command to stay silent, probably because he threatened them. The first of many threats to my life, freedom, and rights being taken away is resolved by addressing the misdiagnosis. I have to get that taken care of first, because then my court case will be a lot firmer. And there are two people that can make that happen. And they both want me to move, which means I'm probably going to have to sue in order to get them to tell me the truth. And then there's even a chance that they still won't. Bill and Patty. Because I think that they were told I was crazy before I actually had a diagnosis. The reason that the imposter of the Secret Service said it is because he knew about R&M and knew that if he got Patty to stare at me or to stalk me, she would observe strange behavior. Me talking to myself or being angry, because I was being harassed in my head. If you were harassed in your head, you would respond the same way. I tried to reserve the speaking or yelling out loud to in the confines of my home, which I'm allowed to have, and that is my privacy. If it's too loud and somebody wants to complain about the noise, that's one thing. But you're not allowed to use that evidence against a person. I reserved the yelling for driving on the road. I would get in my car and drive on the freeway and yell at the top of my lungs because I was so angry. I don't know if you can understand what it would be like to be harassed constantly or scared constantly and not be able to get away from the voice telling it to you in your head. It drives some people crazy. I'm not crazy. I'm brave. And I've made it through. And I've also gotten through to my captors, too. They're recovering right now. They're in recovery. And although they've recently been attacking more aggressively, they're still recovering from using the program to hurt me. This program is the devil. And it destroys everybody it touches. It destroys the perps by them becoming addicted to another person and to a program that allows them to be God, which is a sin. It's not a good program. And it destroys Ty's lives. They're not able to work. They're not believed. and they're suffering all the time from attack. This is not America. This is not where freedom reigns. This is what slavery is. And it's a gross kind of targeted slavery. It is what it is, but it's not going to change until people learn about it. So, if RNM is new to you today, please look it up on the internet, learn about it, and do the smart thing instead of what you've done in the information age. Put aside your doubt and think, I'm going to look at this first. Do the research and then find all the doubt you want in it afterward. But we are stuck as a civilization with doubt. Doubt keeps things exactly where they are. And government laughs at the people because it's gotten them conditioned to doubt everything. Because there's so much information out there. People are overloaded with information. So they don't want to hear anymore. So anything that sounds foreign to them, they dismiss. In order to learn new things, you have to be open-minded. And that's what's missing. Open-mindedness. You'll learn a lot. There's a lot of things to learn. I've learned more in the last 3 years than I thought ever possible. And it's like giving a critique to a good friend that's along the lines of, you really need to clean up your house. I don't want to come over because your house isn't clean. That's what it feels like I am doing to the government, except the government is twice, 3 times as big as me and can squash me like a bug. The government needs to clean up house a little bit. And it can do it internally. It would be a good policy because the last couple of decades have been horrendous and on a suicide path. Nothing in government works the way it should. And that should change. And I think it's because so many people are spending time covering up things and doing illegal activity. I want to be proud of my government again. But the only way that can happen is if it shapes up. I've got faith that it can. All it's got to do is follow the Constitution. That's a real good first step. Because then we'll be what we say we are. We don't have to imagine it or think it's there and then find out the reality that it's not. So, share the news about RNM being real. Please share the news about it using microwaves, which do cause cancer. So every day that I'm not saved is more and more of a chance that I will develop brain cancer. And I'm 48, 49. I don't want to die because somebody wanted me to move. I don't want to go to jail for something I didn't do because the government would like to silence me about my experience and is making the police do it. Or maybe the police are doing it to cover up their fuck-ups because they've really fucked us up. I'm a lot smarter than people have given me credit for. And I think part of the reason that so many people were thinking I was not very intelligent is because they didn't know me. The people that know me know how intelligent I am and how good, and always thinking of the greater good of people. I don't think selfishly. I give what I can. So that's what I'm doing today. And I'll do the same thing tomorrow. And I will continue to do it for the rest of my days. It's just who I am. Some people should figure that out. And if you want to call me the devil, go right ahead. Because if that makes me the devil and always being correct, I'll take that. Have a good evening.